History is not just a sequence of random events. It is a record of the human psyche, and that psyche has a dark, recurring obsession. What if the most horrific acts of violence we see on our screens today aren't just collateral damage or political failures? What if they are something much older, much more calculated? Welcome back to Obsera. Today we are stepping into the abyss. We're exploring a theory that bridges the gap between ancient blood sacrifices and modern global warfare. From the skull-lined temples of the Aztecs to the smoke-filled skies over Gaza, we are looking at the possibility that what we are witnessing is not just war, but a ritual sacrifice designed to break the world in order to unite a nation. Why would a modern state want the entire world to watch its most brutal acts? Why does the blood of the innocent seem to be a recurring currency in the halls of power? Today, we peel back the curtain on the ritual of the river, the point of no return where a society chooses to burn its bridges and face the world alone. Are we looking at a military strategy, or is this a global ceremony written in blood? To understand the present, we must look at the bones of the past. Ritual sacrifice has been a tool for unity and power for millennia. It wasn't just evil for the sake of evil. It was a technology of control. It was the ultimate way to create a shared secret among a people, a bond sealed by blood that could never be broken. Take the Aztecs. Archaeologists have unearthed temples containing thousands of human skulls stacked in towers. For the Aztecs, mass public murder of their enemies wasn't a secret, it was a performance. It was a way to galvanize their people before war, a bloody spectacle that unified the tribe through shared trauma and divine mandate. They believed the sun wouldn't rise without the blood. It was survival through slaughter. Then there were the Phoenicians, and specifically the Carthaginians. Ancient records and modern evidence suggest they practiced something even more taboo: child sacrifice. In times of extreme national crisis, the elites would offer their own children to the gods. It was the ultimate offering, the most valuable thing a society could give up to ensure its survival or victory. It was a message to the universe: we will do anything to win. Even the Romans, who considered themselves the pinnacle of civilization, had their own version. They called it the triumph. After a war, they would parade captured enemy leaders through the streets of Rome, subjecting them to public humiliation. At the end of the parade, they led them to the Temple of Jupiter. There, in the shadow of their god, they would strangle those leaders to death. They didn't always call it sacrifice, but the logic was identical: a public, ritualized killing to mark the victory of their civilization over another. The blood of the enemy was the glue that held the Roman identity together. Now, let's look at the headlines today. We see images coming out of Gaza that are almost impossible to process. The numbers tell a haunting story. Roughly 47% of the population in Gaza is under the age of 18. This means the majority of those caught in the bombardment are, in fact, children. But here is the mystery. In the age of advanced technology, Israel has the capability to conduct warfare with extreme, surgical secrecy. If the goal was simply the removal of a population, there are dozens of silent ways to achieve it. Cyber warfare, poisoning of vital infrastructure, or localized toxins that cause long-term illness, things that would take decades to notice and wouldn't trigger global headlines or mass protests. But that isn't what is happening. Instead, we see a conflict that is broadcast in high definition to every smartphone on Earth. Every explosion, every grieving parent is visible. It's almost as if the visibility is the point. The horror is not a side effect. It is the product. When you see people shouting "Death to the Arabs" on public buses in Western cities, or soldiers filming their own activities for social media, you have to ask, why? Why let the world see this? Why invite the hatred of the entire planet? The answer may lie in the concept of the ultimate taboo. By crossing a line that modern society deems unforgivable, a nation creates a wall between itself and the rest of the world that can never be torn down. If you find these connections between history and current events as chilling as we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Here at Obsera, we dive deep into the theories and mysteries that the mainstream media often overlooks. Join our community of seekers by subscribing and turning on notifications so you never miss an investigation into the dark side of our world. To understand the logic of this isolation, we must look at an ancient Chinese military strategy: fighting with a river at your back. Normally, an army is trained to leave an escape route, but a brilliant and ruthless general might force his troops to stand with their backs to a deep, rushing river. Now the soldiers have a choice. They can drown in the river while retreating, or they can fight to the death with a ferocity they never knew they possessed. This is the psychological river being built today. By alienating the global community and inciting worldwide condemnation, a leadership ensures there is no exit for its population. If the whole world is against you, if every international body condemns you, you have no choice but to stay unified and fight to the bitter end. You are trapped with your back to the river. In certain extreme interpretations of Jewish eschatology, there is a belief that at the end of days, Israel must stand alone against the entire world. Only in that moment of total, global isolation will God intervene to grant a final triumph. Under this lens, the actions we see today aren't a series of political mistakes. They are a deliberate acceleration toward that end game. It is an attempt to force the hand of fate by making the world hate the state. As we look at the protests in the streets of London, New York, and Tokyo, we have to ask ourselves, are we merely witnesses to a political conflict, or are we participants in a global ritual? The cycle of sacrifice has returned. History shows us that when a society feels it is losing its grip or its identity, it often turns to the most extreme displays of violence to remind itself and the world who it is. It is a terrifying thought that the suffering we see is a calculated tool used to forge a new national unity through global division. The tools of the past sacrifice, taboo, and the river of no return are being used with 21st century precision. The question is, will we recognize the ritual for what it is before the cycle completes itself? Or are we destined to be the audience for a tragedy that has been playing out for thousands of years? What do you think? Is this a calculated move to unite a nation through global isolation, or is history simply repeating its darkest chapters by accident? Does the theory of ritual sacrifice explain the unexplainable? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one and they help shape our future investigations. If this video gave you a new perspective, give it a like and share it with someone who isn't afraid to look into the darkness. Until next time, keep observing. This is Obsera.